Welcome to Shoptalk number 10.
Number 10.
And today, smash. What are we talking about, Eric?
Split Splash. We're going to be talking about what you should be looking at when you buy a handmade guitar, and maybe
Or
some
factory-made
or
guitar.
factory. I can't guess why not.
Sure.
And
some misconceptions
factory guitars as well. And some misconceptions.
about, yeah. Okay. So,
And maybe even some misconceptions that are true. For a large part, but can be.
yeah,
Yeah.
you have to watch out for
Yeah.
misconceptions that aren't always true,
Yes.
but can be true.
But can be true.
Okay. So, what is one of the misconceptions?
So one of them is that, and we'll just start off with one right out that that you can just toss out there for fun, and that is that some people build their guitar and they tune it so that it works best with just one tuning.
Right, yeah. So if you make a guitar and build it and tune it in order to play best in DADGAD or something like that.
Right.
Now, there are things to be said for building a guitar specifically for a tuning. But if you are tuning specific parts of the guitar to resonate to certain frequencies, like notes, like D in DADGAD, that's not a good thing, because that D is going to be overpowering. You're not going to have a balanced sounding guitar. So basically, that always raises a red flag for me. Like if somebody says this guitar is being built and tuned for a DADGAD tuning, maybe if it's like a longer scale length because you're drop tuning,
Right.
then that makes sense. But as far as like tuning the plates and things to work specifically with a set of notes, that's a bad thing.
Unless you wanted to play just D, A, D, G, and A and D.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
Then that would be perfect.
Open. Yeah. Yeah.
If you just want boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom.
If you want to play the tonic all the time, then you're good.
It would be perfect. But you probably, most of those people who play those kind of guitars would play all the other notes.
Yeah.
Several times over. Yeah. Okay, so
that's one misconception.
Yeah.
Something to watch out for. I think it's
it's a good way to talk up your guitar.
It's a misleading way to market your instruments if you're...
I think so. And if you do it, well, prove us wrong.
Yeah.
We're happy to find out. Or maybe we've misunderstood what you're saying, which is probably the point of it, right? A lot of these things are things where we say things that are kind of true, but we say it in a way that hopefully people will misunderstand it and think it's more than what we're saying. And then we go, oh, we didn't really say that. No, but Yeah.
Jargon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, one that's thrown out there all the time is a lighter woods means that the guitar is a brighter guitar.
Yeah. Totally not true. Maybe it's more common in factory-made guitars that certain light woods do, in the factory setting, end up sounding brighter.
Right.
But from my experience, you can make a maple guitar that sounds very warm,
right,
and not bright. I think what that's based off of is like the Gibson J200s, which are like the massive body things that sound like crap. In my opinion, they're not warm like that big body you would expect.
Right.
What that would sound like.
Yeah. So it's not the fault of the woods at all.
I don't think so. The building. Well, it's yeah.
Probably not.
Well, it definitely has something to do with it, right?
Yeah, it all plays together, but if you can, Well, as Mike said, you can take any piece of wood if you're a good guitar builder and make it sing.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of
how to treat it.
Yeah, how to treat it, and Yeah. And to just kind of exhibit this, we've got a few guitars here.
Yeah.
So let's start off with the dark one. I would say ebony's a pretty dark wood.
Yeah.
Why don't you play that one first? And I hope this mic isn't really sensitive because I feel like I'm shouting. I'm so excited. Yeah.
I mean, it's got a warm sound, but yeah, I mean, I guess that's what they say. Darker woods have darker sounds.
Yeah.
Which isn't technically necessarily
Well, this
true.
isn't even the darkest of dark woods. Interestingly enough, this guitar too was built specifically with a technique that some people have said will increase the low end. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, so there are different ways of having low end in an instrument, which is another thing we'll talk about soon. But the large air cavity contributes a lot to the low end of an instrument. So if you want to get really nerdy with it, the resonance of the air cavity inside is what makes a guitar sound really big. So the area of the top that's moving in the monopole mode of vibration, which is like the whole thing moving in and out, it's a big area, so it's moving more air. So more air is coming out of the sound hole.
Right.
Now in this case, I used a Tornavaz, which has been used for hundreds of years. Not very common in the steel string guitar making world.
Okay.
But it lowers the frequency of the air cavity.
Mm-hmm.
So you end up with an actually a lower frequency, more bass,
Right.
theoretically.
More responsive bass.
Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah.
Nice. So there's an ebony guitar. Cool. Let's try this maple.
This one's light colored, so it's going to sound bright.
Yes, definitely. Very bright.
Maple back and sides. Yeah, ready for it, really
Yeah.
bright. That's really bright sounding.
Yeah.
Really bright.
It is different sounding.
It's different. In my experience, I actually really love maple because I find that if you can get the lows out of maple, maple has this amazing harmonic response. So the higher notes, they just have this amazing overtone quality.
And that's his way of selling you his guitar. See, this is what we're talking about. That's a good one there.
Anyways,
The maples have this overtone
light-colored
quality.
wood. Light-colored wood doesn't necessarily
Yeah.
mean bright guitar.
But there is differences in sounds among the woods.
Yeah.
Even among the species. Like you could even get two pieces of ebony and have a different sound coming from it, obviously. Then you have different people building it and different styles, and there's different sounds that come from it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it doesn't necessarily have to do with the color of the wood or how light or dark the wood is. Yeah. Cool. We may have not proven you wrong, but we're going to tell you you can get by with a light guitar and really have lots of low end.
Yeah.
Next, the word laminated means cheap, and I should have actually brought out my Martin. I've got a nice Martin, which is just laminated plastic.
It's not even laminated. It's just like
It's
a
just
composite
plastic.
material.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, that's not a good
Yeah.
one. The idea is that people have taken cheaper materials, laminated them together. Not that the price of the material matters, but cheap as in quality-wise.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't get a good guitar out of that.
Yeah, and in many instances, sure, laminated guitars happen to be the cheap guitars in factories. But there are some benefits to laminations.
Okay.
And in the handmade guitar world, it's becoming very popular.
Right.
In classical guitars, you have double tops, which are 2 layers with like a Nomex core, so there's almost like an airspace in between, really thin layers, and you get really lightweight top and really responsive. For back and sides, laminated is awesome. It's never gonna crack.
Right.
If you're using it as more of a reflector, like a reflective back, then laminated is only gonna help. There's the only downside is if you want it to be a super active back.
Right.
So laminated is not a bad thing.
Right.
I do think that laminated tops, not so much. Like plywood tops, they just never sound as good.
So that's the kind of lamination that when they say it's a cheap guitar, that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, the top.
Is it a plywood top?
Yeah.
Generally, if they have plywood in their guitar and they're trying to charge you handmade prices, you should probably be asking them why they made that choice.
Well, yeah, for the top. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I'm not saying it's going to be bad. I'm just saying you should be finding out why plywood was the wood choice. Now, along that lines, does the lamination or the stiff sides actually make a difference?
Yes, laminated sides, huge benefit. Well, I guess if you're into that sound, it's all subjective, just like everything else. But if you laminate your sides and actually add mass to your sides, you make your top and your back more active. So if you think about your vibrations on the top and the back, they don't get lost down the sides. They bounce back into the top and the back. So more weight in the sides is actually a good thing if you want sustain and like more projection.
More projection.
Which most people want.
Sustain, clarity.
Yeah, it does add clarity.
We say now if you got somebody builds really muddy guitars and they get a little bit more clarity out of it, well, that still is less clear than somebody else who didn't use laminated sides. So just again, it doesn't guarantee you because they use laminated sides you're gonna have a clear crystal. But we have heard a guitar. Actually, Zach built one. It's available at the
Guitar Gallery
in Nashville.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah,
and it's got incredible clarity and projection and just it's a big instrument. It's like whew.
And in a way, it's actually less my building style now because that's more strictly a fingerstyle guitar.
Yeah,
because fingerstyle players want that clear separation between the notes and really bell-like quality to the notes, right? And I really love that, but I also kind of tend to shy a bit away from that and try to get more of the I don't know like
overtones.
Well, it's more like the interplay between the notes. So when you build a guitar that's super efficient, there's not much interplay between the notes.
Right.
And I find that can be kind of
sterile.
Sterile? Yeah.
I mean, that's the way I view it. I mean, I think people play lovely music with it, and I love it, and it's fun to play. But at the same time, it doesn't move me the same way. But other people love it. It's definitely a style. Cool. And along that same lines, unless you had more to say on that.
I don't think so.
Okay, along the same lines, laminated, and also that composite, which is a type of laminate, just sounds dead.
Yeah, composite is.
And I have, like I said, I have this little Martin that I bought knowing it's, a composite of plastics. I don't know. I actually don't know what's in it. But I knew it wasn't like, a pure wood, little tiny travel guitar. It's great. And it is quite dead. And I love it for it. I'll never get rid of it. I like it. But we're going to play one right now that is made out of composite. And you decide how dead is it.
This is Rich Light, which is very heavy it's not even a wood. It's a vulcanized paper product. It's in the eco alternative building supply world. Anyways, back and sides are a composite material. The top is still solid wood, which I think is just the way to go with the top. Composite materials, they don't take away from the sound, technically, or, well, in my experience. There are some composite guitars out there that sound amazing.
Right.
Like Ovation's not so much, but... but this is a Parlor too, so a small body. But it's laminated composite sides, so 2 layers, and then the back is composite and cedar. So laminated also, but also composite. So this is a good...
Whew.
Yeah, when I built this guitar, I really wanted to sort of prove people wrong in these instances. But composite material for the back and the sides.
This one.
Yeah.
Yowzers. I mean, this one actually surprised me a little bit. I don't know any reason why it shouldn't sound good, but you know, when you talk about those materials, I'm expecting it not to sound. And it's big. I don't know if it's coming across in the recording, but it's a big sound. Yeah, you don't have that super low end, but man, you've got a lot of beautiful, and it's loud, but not piercy or cutty or hurty.
Yeah.
Hurty? Cutty?
Hurdy-gurdy?
You know, it's not those things. Those are things that you need to know about when you're going to buy a guitar. Is it cutty? Is it hurty?
Does it hurty your fingery?
No, I mean your eerie.
Or your eerie?
Yeah, cutty or hurty or eerie.
Yeah.
Just a big, beautiful sound, and it's composite and gorgeous looking. Because of that, he could do some really cool stuff on the back. Go look at his pictures, and you can see the artwork that he did on the back. It's awesome. Yeah. So, speaking of, since that's a Parlor, let's talk about size.
Size, yeah.
Does size matter?
Most often it does, yeah.
Yes.
Good. And that dreadnought sound. Is this on our list too, dreadnought?
Yeah, let's go with, do you want to go with another Parlor, or do you want to go to the dreadnought direction first? Let's save the Parlor. Okay, let's talk about like the dreadnought sound. Like it's a big...
Yeah, so most, if you've read online looking for, information on what to look for when you're buying a guitar, a lot of them say buy a dreadnought if you want a big sound. And that is maybe
true.
Maybe in the factory guitars that might be true. But you can get a big sounding guitar from other body shapes that are prettier than the dreadnought.
So let's just be crystal clear here, okay? We'll be transparent for you. Both of us really like the sound of a dreadnought to most extent. If it's a well-built dreadnought, we like that big, warmish. We call it warm. It just means that there's some lack of clarity there. It's like what you were talking about. And big low end, a little bit mushy even sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that, but that's kind of what happens, I think. Anyway, we love it, but we hate the look of it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like the look of it, you're all good to go, but we're not crazy about the look of it. So we're looking for a big sound, sometimes with a little bit different shape. So let's go with that one.
Okay. I'd say your tone wood combination is going to have a big effect on your bigness sound. So a mahogany back and sides like this, it's going to be very active on the back. If it's built properly.
Right, as long as what we were talking about has not been laminated or built really like heavily braced to make it a reflective back. It's, you know, you have to brace it and keep it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but this is obviously not a dreadnought. There's some tight waists, and the upper bout is quite a bit smaller than most dreadnoughts. So this width is about the same, the lower bout width. So as far as like air volume goes inside the guitar, it's a bit smaller than a dreadnought. It's also about the same thickness. Okay. So fairly large size, but it has the tight waists, which I quite like aesthetically.
There's something like it's like a big warm blanket that just comes over top of you and just cuddles you in. Oh, it's so gorgeous. That's been a favorite of ours. We're going to be sad to see that one walk out of here. Yeah. Well, I am, because I don't get the money for it. Maybe you would be happy. So you go, and the person who's bought it is going to be happy to get it, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Once it's done. Cool. So along that same lines, then, you know, is it true that all parlors are weak sounding?
Yeah, and there's definitely probably 95% of parlor guitars out there are small sounding. So basically, they don't move that amount of air. They don't have that large volume of air in the air cavity. Less bass, more mid-range, high-range sound. So like they say fingerstyle?
Yeah, fingerstyle, or for lighter playing. And this is where you see there's a difference. Now, if somebody says, well, you're going to have less volume, less low end, then, you know, that's actually what size does. You know, it changes that.
Yeah.
But does that mean you can't play it like drive it and play it like you would another guitar? You have to play it lightly, and it's only good for fingerstyle. This is where the misconception comes in, because size does make a difference.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you can't play a parlor, you know, get a big sound out of it.
Yeah. Although I have not played many parlors that have a big sound.
Right.
Like there aren't.
Well, that one you just played there was not bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, why don't you try that other one and see how big that sound is?
Well, and this is, I mean, I feel like every guitar maker that's making parlor guitars tries to get a big sound out of a small instrument. But this is a parlor, and it's got a massive sound. And there's a few different things I did in the building that make it have a massive sound. But I think it's pretty safe to say that most parlor guitars out there are not going to have it's not going to sound like a dreadnought, right?
No, it shouldn't.
Yeah. There is a nice quality to the parlors. I find in the they're very nice for mid-range, which is maybe why they like, you know, that.
Yeah, it's definitely good for it.
And also in the treble, it's usually quite nice. Some dreadnoughts can sound pretty tinny up there, I guess. I actually find a lot of factory-made guitars, most factory-made guitars don't have a very pleasing treble.
No, they become hurdy.
Yeah.
And cutty.
Yeah.
They do, though,
But-
really. Like,
Yeah.
that's just... Okay.
Bell.
Yeah, that thing's just pissing me off. Get out of here. That is probably my favorite parlor of all time. So I'm not saying that all parlors are going to have that kind of drive or that kind of big sound, but it is possible to have a bigger sound and do more with it than just playing little light. You know, you can make a parlor sing and have a lot of fun with it. So you don't have to go to do a dreadnought if you want to play big country music.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could play that, and you know, let the bassist do his job.
But all of this, I feel like a lot of this points to this idea that you really just need to try the guitars, right? Because every guitar is going to be different.
Yes.
Every, 2 or 3 guitars out of 100 guitars that comes out of the factory is going to sound really good.
Yeah.
Because there's this combination of woods and sizes
Some of
of
them-
bracing that worked out perfectly.
Or sound fantastic.
Yeah.
I've played some factory guitars that are like...
Yeah.
So, yeah, then I went and bought that exact same factory, another guitar like it, and it was the worst guitar I've ever owned. And yet my brother still owns the one that he had that I love. Like, it's a beautiful sounding guitar. Yeah. Neck joints, do they make a difference?
Oh boy. Yeah, here we go again. We did talk about this in a
So keep it
past shop talk, yeah. But basically, don't get attached to a dovetail neck joint. You're not gonna hear the difference.
And if
honestly.
you do, let us know how you hear it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And if you do, welcome to the world of beautiful ears. I'm sorry. You must hear a lot of things in the world that's going to be painful. Yeah, you can't really hear the difference. There's so many other parts.
Oh yeah. How do you'd have to actually make 2 guitars identical with, and even then, if you make 2 guitars that have where the tops came from the same piece of wood.
Yeah.
They were consecutive slices.
Yeah.
Those 4 slices can still be very different,
Right.
even though they were next to each other in a tree. So, like
you hear them talking about this. This is what you see as you see these guys build these guitars. There's so many little things that they're also fussing out over. If each one of those also makes a difference, it's just about bringing that package together, isn't it?
Yeah, and it really is for every guitar maker out there. You really don't know exactly what the guitar is going to sound like until it's built.
Right.
There are certain qualities that you can expect
Right.
if you're using certain woods and you're building this specific way. But as far as like the exact sound, you don't know until it's strung up.
In fact, that's part of the fun of it, isn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
There's some joy in building in that side of it. Like you've created this thing. It's like when you have a kid, you just don't know. It could end up being like me. Sorry.
sorry, Mom. Sorry, Dad.
Yep. Here we go. Have we played them all now? Good. Yeah. Okay. So the last one. And we'll combine 2 things together. Like I saw somebody dropping. They're building electric guitars. Actually, basses.
Yeah.
And they started dropping the woods on the floor
Oh yeah.
to show why they use the different woods.
Yeah.
Well, we've already talked about that issue. Okay, but let's take it one step further. And what did you read yesterday? Oh, it just stirred me up bad.
Oh, it was. If you want a warm sound in an electric guitar, you want a rosewood fingerboard. Mm-hmm. If you want some, what was it? A brighter sound, you want a maple or ebony.
A harder wood.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about that?
Well, I think the neck material makes more of a difference. I do think that, the neck plus the fingerboard does make a bit of a difference. I think it's more of a weight thing than anything. So if you're talking about the inertia of sound, so the vibrations that are coming from the body of the guitar going up and down the neck.
Because it's the longer waves, right?
Yeah, so
it's where it's going to have the bigger
waves.
Yeah.
And if you put a very stiff, heavy piece of wood as the neck, then it's going to respond better to higher frequencies than it will to the lower frequencies. If you have a more flexible, lighter weight neck, it's going to respond better to lower frequencies. But it doesn't mean that if you have a rosewood fingerboard, it is going to be a warmer sound.
I don't know. I've never seen any proof of this. I have no idea where anybody even came up with this idea. But whew.
And that's mainly in the electric guitar making world, which I'm not a big part of. Like, I don't know too much about the electric guitar.
And I'm only just starting to get into.
But there's this whole argument of the tone woods of an electric guitar contributing to the sound, and I'm not sure that I buy it, because the pickups are what's making the sound. They're picking up how the strings vibrate.
Yeah. I like having this composite acoustic guitar creating such a beautiful sound. It makes you wonder how big of an effect the wood is going to have, or is on a fretboard, which is the sound is probably not even going through in your electric guitar that doesn't even have a resonating body really at all. It's just, if that is your biggest worry, if that ever becomes your worry, then you probably don't want to buy a guitar from anybody who is not a snob like you. No, okay. You don't want to buy a guitar from somebody who doesn't think that that's important. And you can find them out there. Those people exist. But for most of us, this is not an issue.
If you're going to go to a music store or a guitar shop,
or to a builder's shop.
Yeah, sure. I highly encourage you to bring a friend. I mean, obviously, COVID, be safe. Once COVID is done, bring a friend, bring a blindfold.
Blindfold.
And try different guitars out. Have your friend pass you different guitars. And don't let them tell you what's going on with the guitar, because you can very often be tricked by what you see. And they've done studies on this, the blindfold test with guitars. And your eyes, they can influence what you hear, right? So if you've heard that dark guitars sound dark colored guitars sound dark or warmer, then you might hear that. Yeah. Because you've heard it enough times said. So,
and chances are the light guitar you got was built differently and is a little bit smaller, and it is a little bit brighter.
Yeah.
In that case, you know what I mean? Yeah.
So try the guitars without any preconceived notions of what it will sound like, and
also start thinking about. We haven't even gotten into this, and maybe we'll get into this a little more, but just even how the feel of it is to you. Maybe we should save that for another video.
Yeah.
What are we looking for in feel? But, different sizes, make a difference even in the comfort of playing. So, yeah. It's huge. Yeah.
But is that a good, we went pretty in depth.
Yeah. That's our good one for our first time to talk about buying guitars.
Yeah.
Yeah, and be aware that different prices, like high price guitars are not necessarily going to be your happiest guitar for you. Okay?
Yeah. Actually, I have a story to go with that. It's the same in violins and cellos and stuff, right? When I bought my cello, I tried tons of cellos. I tried $24,000 cellos. Thank goodness I didn't fall in love with those ones. Just to try them.
Right.
And I tried some $2,000-$3,000 cellos, which are the cheaper ones, unfortunately. And the one that I liked the sound of the most, like way more than the $24,000 one, was the $5,000 cello. And it just happened to be, it was an old cello. But I played it and I fell in love with the sound, not the looks, really, and without preconceived notions of what it was going to sound like. Like looking at the price tag, this is a $24,000 cello. It's going to sound way better than the others. Yeah. Well, I am so glad it didn't.
No. Yeah. And I mean, we can happily tell you that's not the case. And oftentimes, I mean, I went through the same thing when I went to buy a guitar. And unfortunately, my most expensive guitar is my favorite guitar. But that's because Zach happened to build it. And yeah, I think it was the peak of his building career. No, yeah. So, you've got to try it. You've got to feel it.
Yes.
It's an emotional thing, really. You have to connect with it. So if you are just starting, buy a cheaper one that you kind of feel like, because you don't know, right? Or one that you can sell on if it doesn't suit your style in the long run. Buy quality that you can pass on to somebody else if it doesn't gel with you. And that you can play. That's fairly reasonable to play and sounds good, because nobody wants to learn how to do crap.
Well, and playing on a cheap or badly set up instrument is not very inspiring.
Not at all.
So
makes me unhappy just thinking about it. I'll have to do that. And it happens all over. I teach, I don't even get into teaching at high school, and those guitars, hurty. So anyway, this is number 10 for us.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. If you have any questions about guitars, what to look for in guitars, I'd be happy to help out and
send them a note.
Yeah, and even if your budget is $200 or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about 200, but let's.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah, a little bit higher.
But yeah, I'd be happy to help out and sort of help you find your perfect guitar.
Yeah. And I say a little bit higher just because we've been through this before, though. Yeah. I'm not trying to encourage you to spend your money, but
you support
it's a beautiful, an intricate instrument. If you're buying an acoustic guitar that deserves a little bit more than just.
And what you're supporting by buying a cheap guitar is not a good thing. If
it costs the same as 10 of your meals out, then you're probably not spending enough. Anyway. Yeah, number 10.
All right. We'll see you next time.